another episode of Groovy Tuesday / Pergamano School. How are we all doing today? Stuart is in the room with you today. Julie's downstairs busy picking and packing orders, which I'll be doing after the Groovy Tuesday episode. So just wait for an all clear. I've just been speaking to the lovely Linda, so I know my mic is okay. Battery levels look good. And I'm just waiting for a message from Stuart just to say he can hear me. There we go. There's Susan in the room. Good morning, Susan. Hopefully you can hear me. So how's everyone doing today? I can see all these little eyes watching. I'm just waiting for all the lovely little messages to come in. So, Tuesday already. Good morning, Lorraine from sunny Estepona. Oh, you're back in Spain. Lovely. Bernie, Jill, Lynn. Sound is good. Thank you, Lorraine. That's good. Catherine. Oh, I just picked an order for you, Catherine. I shouldn't say that, should I? The lovely Pat's in the room. Good morning and well. Ah, there's Josie as well. Good morning, everybody. Last week I said the week before had gone really slow. Last week was sort of a bit of a whirlwind. How's it been for you? Have you been busy keeping out of trouble or getting into trouble? Maybe you can't tell us on here. So we'll just get a few more minutes just to let everybody just settle in, grab a cup of tea. And I think that's my message from Stuart. Sound is great. Thank you, Stuart. There we go. Super duper. And breathe. It's all about being calm, isn't it? And for me, the groovy and the parchment really does do that for me. And yeah. I think without further ado, rather than me just waffling, I shall introduce the lovely Linda and she can waffle along with me.
Good morning.
Good morning, Linda.
Waffle.
Waffle. See, we've gone reverse today. We've just had this. Let me just, what way do I need to move? We've just gone reverse, haven't we? Shame on me. I've got a cardigan on and Linda's made the effort and put a floral top on.
I've been hunting through my wardrobe and I thought, I can't find anything that fits.
It doesn't matter though, does it? Because we're sitting down.
No, you can't see the bottom bit. It's really tight, you know.
I've got some shirts like that, and if I sort of slouch when I sit, the buttons sort of gape open, sort of. So I have to make sure I sit upright, which I should do. I should sit upright because of my back.
I think that's all due to COVID. I think we've all put on a couple of extra pounds. It will be it's a couple of stone, I think. Ask me what the weather's like.
Go on then. What's the weather like?
Oh, it's dreadful. It's absolutely chucking it down. What's it like with you?
It's dry at the moment.
Are you serious?
It was warmish when I came in this morning. I say warm, it said I think it was like 6 or 7 degrees. And then probably about 5, 6 o'clock, the frost came down and it went really, really cold. And then it's cleared, but I think it's sunny. I can't remember now, but I know it's dry anyway.
Wow, lucky.
I think we're meant to get 2 different storms coming in this week, aren't we?
Ah, yes, mostly in the north, I think. It's, the first one is mostly in the north, and then the next one, I think we're all going to get hit with the next one. So I think it's here already. Actually.
Jackie Cooling has just said, "Don't say that. We're coming to Wales at the weekend."
I'll be okay by the weekend.
It'll all be blown away by then, won't
lovely
it?
by the weekend. The sun's going to come out, I'm sure.
There we go.
Yeah.
So what have you been up to this week, Linda?
I've been working on some samples for the next ODS, the next Groovy ODS. So that's coming quite nice, actually. I think it's going to be a good one. I've just got a feeling, you know.
Yeah, they are beautiful designs. I know we didn't really talk about it and tease everybody that's tuning in, but I think they're beautiful designs by Linda Williams. It is the 3rd set in a collection, and that's all I'm going to say.
I'm trying to work out now what she done with 2 collections.
Well, you did set 1, which was 4 plates. You did set 2,
4.
which was another 4. So this is set 3.
Yeah,
very
versatile. I see them popping up all the time. So Barbara said she phoned, I think it was just before Christmas, she said, you think there's another set in there somewhere in your brain? I said, oh yeah, I could actually go on doing loads of sets of these. They're lovely. So
They
I
are
think they've
beautiful.
probably been some of my most popular plates.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it very. I mean, the bumblebees. Your bumblebees. I've
That
picked
was
quite a few
very
of those this
popular.
morning.
Yeah. And I
So,
think the layout plates now are taking over. I see a lot of that, and people asking for more, and because they're just small little bite-sized pieces that you could get your head around, you know.
yeah, no, beautiful.
Yeah.
So this week we're carrying on with are we carrying on with the shadow embossing?
Yes, carry on with the
This
shadow embossing this week, and next week then I'll do a little bit of colouring just to put you on the right road. But I want to give you a list of the pencils that I used. You can use I use polychromos to do mine because I wanted a wide range of colours. But you can use your clear liners or whatever you have in your stash. You know, some people just got their old colouring, old faithful colouring pencils. You can use any wax-based or oil-based pencils. So yeah.
Okay.
So
I mean,
that's
did you see my my cheating on TV the other day when I did the 1 day special, and I said I'd spent hours colouring in all of the and before her I was talking, I can't think which presenter it was, it may have been Richard, and I said, oh yeah, I spent so much. He said, but they look so exact. I went, yeah, they're not, they're just printed. But these doodle dies,
those frames are lovely, don't they? They're just the right size for these.
they're perfect for them. And I was having a play around earlier. Where's my, you know, I did my little folder, didn't I, with all my sort of frames and bits and pieces in. And I was looking at just the rectangles, for example. So I know I sort of digress slightly. Let me just take this set out. It really is handy having them like this because I can just jump to them. And I was looking at some pieces of artwork that you've done that I can showcase on the Pergamano show on Thursday. So we have this beautiful piece that when we lift it up, you've got that beautiful colouring in the background, and we can just about see no work has been done to the white line art at all. This is a piece from Lynn Jackson.
Put it full frame, Paul, so that you can see it.
Full frame. Okay,
Full frame,
just there we go.
That's better.
Okay.
Bit,
so there we go. We can see you've got that beautiful image from Lynn Jackson. And if I take this one, look, it was as if it was made to measure. And then if I take the coloured piece on the inside, look at that.
That's beautiful.
Doesn't it just give it that finishing touch?
Yeah, that's really lovely.
See, and if I wanted to, I could go for the next one up as well. So if I wanted to go on the outer part of that frame, look, because these pieces of card were cut with our nested rectangle dies, so I knew that they would work perfectly for that. And so I was just having play. I mean, I've got this beautiful black and white piece here, done by the lovely Linda Williams. But look at that.
Oh, yeah, that's lovely.
Doesn't it look?
It just, yeah, that makes a big difference, doesn't it?
It really does change the look of it, and it makes it so easy as well. So so thank you to everyone that tuned in and took advantage of that 1 day special the other day. I'm going to have them back on the Pergamano show on Thursday. So so if you did miss out, they won't be at such a good price as the 1 day special, but they will still have a lovely saving attached to them.
Do you know what I like to do with those? I did a few samples when we were in the retreat. I like to snip them, and you can interlink them, especially the circles. If you snip them in one place and you can interlink one with the other, it gives you a really lovely modern effect, you know?
I think I had that sample here somewhere earlier. Look, yeah.
And you can put it round a corner and, you know? Oh, there we are. Yeah.
Yeah, so you popped it round the corner there. That's using the circle. But let me just take that. Oh, that one. Look.
Yeah, isn't that lovely? It's quite modern, isn't it?
It is. And I think that's what the doodle dies do. So doodle dies do. I think what it does, it takes a very beautiful piece of artwork and it just gives it that little finishing touch. I mean,
Definitely.
look
Yeah.
at that. Really, really
And we,
nice.
we struggle to stick parchment down. And I know the brads are lovely, but I was getting a little bit tired of using brads all the time. And then
Yeah.
when these came along, I thought, yes, great. Now you can stick it along the edge and stick it down without any glue showing, because parchment is notoriously difficult to stick down.
Yeah,
And
because I was using the
yeah,
Perga glue to attach the frames, and it was great for that. And so
Perga glue is great. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, years ago, before we had the brads and things, you put little dabs of Perga glue behind your embossing.
Hmm.
And if you were really lucky, you could get away with it. But other times, then, if you didn't put it in the right place or it got flattened, it would pull the embossing into the card below. So, yeah, the brads are great, but I think these are even better for your parchment work.
Yeah.
Really lovely.
I've just seen a question just pop up from Catherine. Does anyone have a link to the black and white effect? Is it just using black on the front, or is it outlined in black and then embossed on the back? Ah, right. Okay. So I think I know what you're talking about, Linda. Let's have a look at this one. So this is a piece that Linda's done, and this is actually.
I'm sure Barbara did it on her blog.
Did she? Okay, maybe Stuart, maybe you could check Barbara's blog and see if you could find a link. That would be great. But this is printed, the black line art is actually printed on the parchment, and it comes in the pack if you go for any of the packs. But then we also have the black line art printed separately as well. And I think you get 10 sheets, I think it is, per design in each pack. And then the white work is done just on the back. Let me just, I think I've got some pieces here because I was trying to get ready.
Exactly the same, yeah. We did it in the retreat. It's exactly the same as what we're doing now, but only using the black line art sample. And then we did the embossing, and then we took a black pencil and we started to colour with a black pencil. We put some colour on the back and some colour on the front.
That's right. So you can see
without any, there's no colour on that, is there, Paul? Not yet.
No, there's no colour at all.
No.
And if I remember, I'll try and show this on the Pergamano show on the craft store on Thursday at 11 and 3. So let's just see if I had a message from Stuart. Stuart's going to look that up and see if he can find the blog, and then he'll pop the link in for you.
I mean, when we did the colouring, we did dorso on the back, a little bit of dorso just to start the shading off. But we didn't extend the dorso colour into the white. We just put a little bit, and then we blended with a nib, and we just pulled it up into the white. I don't know if you can remember, Paul. We just pulled it up into the white just to give a grey shade, and then we added some of the darker areas then with the black pencil with a very sharp point, and then we added a tiny bit on the front. We didn't put a lot on the front.
No, that's right. I remember now. I'll have to refresh my memory tomorrow before I go up to TV on Thursday morning, because I think that's a really nice sort of technique to show off to get that monochromatic.
Get stuck, give me a ring.
I will.
If I don't know if I've got any pictures of the stages. I'll send them to you if I've got them. I'll have a look.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, so let's hand over to the lovely Linda.
Okay, so this is what we're aiming for. Okay, and we've done four. We've actually done 4 layers. So if I take our little leaflet with our instructions on how to emboss. So we've done 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, that's 3 and 4 in 1. So we've got 4 layers now. Some of you will have, it'll be maybe a little bit whiter. Some of you might be a little bit paler. This is just a basic indication of where you should be at But I mean, if I was to go through all this again now, I'd probably be at a different stage. It really all depends on your mood and how hard you're pressing and things. So we're going to do stage 5 and 6. So if you read stage 5, it's the 3mm ball tool, and then the 1.5mm ball tool on the smaller areas. Okay.
Okay.
And stage 6 is to repeat stage 5. Okay. So at stage 6, you probably would stop to do this frosted, the frosted overlay technique, so that you can actually see the colour coming through. You don't want to take it all the way. Okay.
Okay.
So you can see it there. But if you want to achieve this sort of thing, then you'll go all the way. You're going to get this really, really white, and go all the way to 7, 8, 9 maybe. It all depends how heavy you're embossing yourself. So right, let's get my embossing mat in. Now then, if you're very heavy, if you find you're getting it's becoming too white too quickly, then use a piece of cello bag over your mat and then emboss on that, and that gives you a little bit more resistance. Okay. If I was, sometimes I use this if I want to really slow myself down. I'm going to take it away now because it's causing a reflection. But so we're going to be using, this is the one we used last time. We used the 4.5. That's the last one we used. So we used the 6 to start, remember? And then we used the 4.5mm. So I'm going to put this by my side in case there's anywhere that I want to do a little bit more of that. And then I'm going to bring in the 3mm and the 1.5. So you've got a 3 on the end of that, and a 1.5 on the end of that. Okay.
Yep. Perfect.
Okay. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get around it all, but what I want to do today, because I want to do a little bit of colouring next week, what I want to do today is take maybe 1 to the very end degree so that you can see what we should be doing. Okay? Yeah. So this, what I've got now is the 3mm ball tool. Let's come in a little bit closer for you to see. Right, yeah. So remember, you're doing exactly the same as you did before, only I'm not going so far this time. So it's a press and a flick. And remember, you've got those little gaps. Now's your chance to close those up a little bit.
Okay.
My magnifier. So if you think, I think that one's a little bit wide, because you've got a smaller ball tool here, you can edge over a little bit and close them up.
So you can be a little bit more precise at this stage.
Yes. And some long strokes, some short strokes, and if you feel you want to take it a little bit further in places, just to vary your embossing, then you can do that. So these finishing stages are when you're going to bring it to life. So I'm going to put a little bit of embossing there, and a little bit there. And now I'm not going to do anything there because I'm going to leave it in shadow. And if I start at the middle, so here's where you can vary your embossing as well. Is that clear enough? Can you see it? Yeah. Here's where you can vary your embossing a little bit now. So if, say I wanted that middle bit to be the whitest, and then I want you to fade away. So you can fade that way as well as fade that way. So let me show you how to do it. So if I wanted to be whitest in the middle, I'm pressing a little bit harder. And then as I'm coming out a bit further, I'm taking off the pressure and I'm doing a little bit less. Okay?
Right, okay.
So there are a few ways you can achieve this. So if I want that to be white there next to the gap, and then I want to fade it to the edge, I'm going to be a little bit softer. Let me do that. Oh my God. My sample sheet now, you got that. Let me do it there to show you on the edge here. So if I go, so harder there, and then I'm fading out to the edge, and I'm getting lighter.
And can you do that with any size ball tool, or is it at this
Any
stage?
size, any size. It's a lot to take in. I tend to teach people how to shade that way, but you can shade that way as well by altering the pressure. But you wouldn't alter the pressure at the very beginning. You've got to get those base layers before you start shading that way.
Right, okay.
Right? I wouldn't recommend you do this with the larger tools in the very beginning. You could do it with the larger tools now if you wanted to go back in. So harder, and then
so the whole part really is
softer.
with the larger ball tools is to put that undercoat down first, which we've spoken about previously.
Yes.
Because what that does, it gently stretches and sort of seasons the parchment, I suppose, doesn't it?
That's right. So I've actually, you can see that now, can't you? So I start there, and then
and there is a difference to the whiteness as well, isn't it? Because with the smaller ball tool, it looks a lot whiter than it does with the larger ball tool.
Yeah, so if I went in there now with a 4.5, so I harder there, and then as we go across, get softer. And then if you went in with a 3mm ball tool, oh yeah, you can see that now.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, it's definitely more prominent on the right-hand side.
So if, say you had that on a petal now, and that you had a mirror image, that would be lovely shading. If you've got that petal is in, say that petal is this one, where it's in between, and you want it to be whiter in the middle and fading to the outer edge, because sometimes you want the shading that way and that way.
Right, okay.
Okay. I mean, it's all little tips, you know. I mean, you can go back and listen to this again and just pick these little things up, you know. But I think that's a valuable lesson to learn, is that you can shade both ways. So I'm lightening up a bit there now so that I'm whiter in the very middle. And I'm only going to put a little bit there because that's going underneath that petal there. And probably can whiten the petals that lay on top, which then will highlight the shadows underneath.
Yes.
Okay. So this one falls underneath that one there on that junction. So really what I want to do is whiten that bit there, keeping the shape of the petal. And then I'm going to take my foot off the gas and lighten up a bit. And then maybe whiten that and then gradually fade as it goes around there. And the one on top, let's do that quite white there. And then gently fade as you go along. And then coming that way, whiter there, and then gently fade it out. Turn that round. That's the one that we've just done.
Yeah, wow.
You would never get this in one go by just going from, I mean, this is where, right, okay, this is the one. Turn that round. That's the one I did in one go. Remember I told you when it was...
That's right, yeah.
It's been in my box now and it's started to collapse in places. So this bit is collapsed and that bit is raised. So, you know, it wouldn't stand the test of time. But if you look at the difference, that is much nicer, you know. I will whiten a little bit more later. This is just coat 5 now. And we'll do a 6 and a 7 and maybe 8. Just modify that a little bit. And then we go, remind me to rub it out in the end, Paul.
To rub it out. Let me write it down, otherwise I'll forget.
I've written it down as well.
Rub.
There was a lady called Mair Hoping, who asked me about the shaders.
Right, yes.
Let me show
Just
you
one quick question, Linda,
Yeah.
and before it disappears off screen. Anita has asked, what size tool do you use for the tendrils?
I would actually use a 0.5 millimeter to do those, or I wouldn't bother and just leave the ink in.
And leave the ink in.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Because they're
Thank you.
quite pretty. But you can use a 0.5 millimeter, the finest that you can get in there.
And I'm guessing very, very light pressure because it's so
Yes.
fine.
Yeah. And also, now that you're using this 3 millimeter ball tool, now is a good time to just go over the stems. That's a nice little tool for fitting in where the stems are. You don't need to do a lot of work on the stems. You just need to highlight them a little bit. Don't press it too hard. Those stems need to fade into the distance. So on these bigger bottom ones, I'm going to make it whiter on the end and just fading where they fall under the leaf. Okay?
Yeah.
Right, so we've got the shaders, we've got the one, I think, isn't it? 1 millimeter and the 1.2 millimeter.
Yeah.
If anybody's got the shaders, a lot of people don't like using them. Some people love them, they swear by them. I'm not that keen, but I'll show you how to use them. And if you know, when I teach you to emboss with a ball tool, I always think it's better if you were to press and flick away from you, because the ball tool comes off the paper. Okay? It doesn't work so well with these. So when you're using the shaders, I prefer anyway to pull towards me. I'm still flicking it off the paper. So the bigger the tool, the bigger the area you're going to cover, but you start with the largest one. Same principle, start with the largest one and go down to the smaller one. So if I do this one here, so you've got more of a chance with these actually of seeing where the tool falls onto the parchment. So it's a press and a flick towards you. They're quite nice for doing curves because you can get into the curve like that. So it's a press and a flick. I don't think the majority of people will prefer to use the ball tools. I don't see a lot of people using these. However, I do see people that swear by them and don't use anything else. But I think they're in the minority.
I'm guessing the ball tools were around before the shading tools.
They were.
In the traditional method. So I'm guessing that's probably, as we find a lot of people watching, that if they've been doing parchment traditionally for many, many years, like yourself, that you started off with the ball tools. It's like when I'm working with the groovy plates, my preference is the wooden tools.
Yes, me too. Me too.
Because that's obviously what I was brought up on, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I think, as you say, if the ball tools were around before the shaders, then a lot of people will be more comfortable with those.
Yeah.
And with the scissors, the exclusives, I'm guessing, were the first ones.
Yes, they were. Yes. Yeah,
and then
they did the gold ones, and then they did the ring lock.
Right, so it's the exclusive, the ring lock, and then the perga cutters.
And then no, the perga cutters came before the ring lock. The ring lock came quite late.
Right, okay. See, we get a history lesson in Pergamano as well.
So there we are.
Yes.
Okay. I think that's a bit too stripy. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to close it up a bit. So let's go and make it less stripy.
Right, so there's a question from Pat Coombs. I seem to have ended up with two shaders the same size. How do I tell which one I have? I don't think they have. Are they in different directions, Linda, on the reverse? They
No,
both.
no. One is thinner than the other.
I suppose if you've got nothing to compare it to, yeah. I mean, I can see visibly.
If you've got to, oh yeah, yeah. Let's have a look.
I don't know whether a ruler. I haven't got mine to hand.
I think this one, the biggest,
The 1.2.
if you put it on top, it's about the width of a 6mm ball tool. Can you see?
Right. Yeah.
That width. Maybe the 6 is a little bit wider. Let me see.
I'm just going to unplug my hearing. I'm just going to go and grab my tools and because then I can get a ruler. I've got a ruler to hand. Just bear with for a moment. You carry on talking.
So the smaller one is a little bit bigger than the 3mm ball tool. So yeah, that's probably the smaller one is the width of 4.5mm ball tool, and the larger one is the width of a 6mm ball tool.
Right, I'm back.
Roughly. Okay. So if I was to turn this over, there you can see the shader and the ball tools. Not a great deal of difference. It all depends what you like to use. So I'm going to go back to let's get rid of the shaders. Back to the 3mm ball tool. And so this is nice and small now for getting in these little areas where the sepals are.
Right, I'm just having a look at my shader tools. So I've got my Pergamano ruler in front of me, and the largest one is about 0.5 centimetre. It fits beautifully in between the 0.5 centimetre mark.
Right.
And then the smaller one, the 1, is less than 0.5 centimetre. So so hopefully that will help.
There's not a great deal of difference when you look at them, actually.
No, because one's a 1 and one's a 1.2. So I'm guessing it's the 0.2 is the difference.
If I've only got one of them in my hand, I can't tell which one it is.
No.
Because it's not written underneath either that this is the way. I mean, you inherited these anyway when you took over Pergamano.
That's right.
It's not a great deal of difference. Remember, you can see I've written 1mm on there, so I know where I am.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, when you've got them side by side, it's easy to see, and obviously from the tools themselves.
Yeah.
But for me, just looking at, if I lay it up, it's from the outer edge of the bars, it's 0.5 centimetre for the 1.2, and it's less than that for the 1. So there we go. I hope that answers the question for you, Pat.
I mean, give it a go. If you've got the shaders, just give them a little go. You might think that you like them, you know. Right, I'm going to do that leaf now, okay? So I'm starting on the end. And you can see now, I'm not sweeping as far as I was before. And I give the odd flick into the centre, not all the way to the centre, just for a little bit of variety. And I'm now closing up those gaps in the corners. So let me start at the centre of the tip, and then I'm going to come down and I'm going to take the pressure off and do it a little bit more gently.
So there's another question. Can you use the shaders from the beginning of the white work?
Yes, you can.
So if you've only got the shaders in your stash, then...
Oh, yes, absolutely, yeah. I know a couple of my friends will use the shaders from start to finish, you know.
Right.
Because, I mean, the good thing about the shader is as well, not that you don't have to, you're using it like a spoon.
Yes.
Okay, that way. But if you turn it the other way, you get a much harder line. So you can use it, and you can also use it sideways. So you get a...
Oh, are you still there, Linda? I think we may have lost Linda. Let me just switch over. Let's have a look. Maybe we're having a few technical issues. Let me just text someone and see if Stuart, could you ask Jim if he could give Linda a quick call, please, and see if what's up with her connection. Oh, there we go. Nothing like a little bit of technical issues, is there? So what we'll do, we'll just see if we can get that sorted for you. So whilst we're waiting for the technical issues to be sorted, oh, we haven't had one of these before, have we? Maybe it's that wind coming. Maybe the storm's landed. Okay, that's for me. So how do we react to this? There we go. Let's have a look at text. Yep, he's just right. Okay, we're going to get Mr. Jim on it. Linda seems to have disappeared. I'm sure she'll reconnect. And she'll be back with us shortly. I shall see her pop up on the bottom of the screen. So what have we got coming up in the week ahead? Where are we now? We're Tuesday today. So on Thursday, we've got the Shack with Barb at 10 o'clock. Then on the craftstore.com, I'm on at 11 o'clock and 3 o'clock with the Pergamano show. We're going to be looking at the frosted floral overlays, those beautiful grids. Oh, here we go. We've got Linda just ringing me now. Just bear with me for a moment. Hello, Linda. You've had a power cut. We just said that the storm's probably coming quick. Okay. All right. Okie dokie. All right. Bye bye. Oh dear. Right. There was a power cut. The power's just come back on. That's because we was talking about the weather. Oh dear. Oh dear. Right. Okay. So where were we? So yes, the Pergamano show at 11 and 3, and those beautiful embossed grids from Josie. Have I got them to hand? See, like I wasn't. See if I could improvise. No, I haven't got those. But let's have a look. It will allow you to create this beautiful framework. Let's have a look on this. This is what was done at the Parchment retreat. And so you can see, so that's using, we've got those plates on the show as well. I'm also going to be showcasing the doodle dies again, because I think they're a really I think for these particular designs on the parchment that Linda's created, I think these work beautifully. And we've got those on there. If you missed out on Barbara's Elegant Lady Groovy plates, we've got those on there. And we've got some great sort of special offers. I'm just being texted, just waiting for the computer to reboot. Okay. Oh, poor Linda, she'll be panicking like mad. But you know what? You can't control power cuts, can you? So, and then on Saturday, you'll be fed up of me this week. You've got me today. Thursday, I'm on TV. Then Saturday, I'm back on the craft store at 11 and 3 with some fantastic offers on some of our beautiful fresh cut dies. So, yeah, I think there'll be a fun 2 hours as well. So it's sort of backwards and forwards at the moment, up to the motorway, up the motorway, up to Peterborough. And what was that message? Start filling flasks, Linda, just in case. I'm sure. Well, she's got the power back and she's just waiting. Computers always take forever to reboot, don't they? Especially when you want to get online. So, so yeah. So what else? Let's have a look at a couple more of these beautiful pieces of artwork so that I don't waffle too much. Let's really indulge, because I know sometimes we really don't get the opportunity. See, I loved it, and I know Barbara loves this as well, with the black and white, the monochromatic. And it's easy to achieve because you've got that beautiful printed line art in black, and the white work really does make it stand out. Let me come in on this one so you can really appreciate that. So the shadow embossing that Linda's covering now, it really, for me, gives it a completely different look when you compare it to, let's bring one of the white line art that Linda's done and put them side by side. So it's exactly the same image, but this one here is done on the white printed parchment, and then the lines have been erased. And then this one here is the black line art printed on parchment, but the line left in. And as Linda was saying, she's introduced a grey pencil or a black pencil to enhance. And when you look at what Linda's teaching us over the course of this month with the frosted floral overlays, you can go back and watch it again and again. I noticed earlier on somebody said that they watch whilst we're live, take it all in, and then go back when they've got time to digest it and really sort of take it to a different level. So there's, I mean, look at those. Who would have thought that that was exactly the same image and the same technique? It's just different levels of white work or shadow embossing. Okay, so they've got that beautiful, I really love those. Then this one, very simply by Lynn Jackson. Let me just bring this in. So Lynn hasn't done anything to the white line art at all. She's just left it exactly how it comes in the pack. But what she's done, that Linda will show us next week, this beautiful colouring technique. Okay, and for me, it looks like, especially when you're working with parchment, I said this at the parchment retreats last year, it reminded me of porcelain, like painted porcelain. And Frances Knott, one of our lovely design team members, she often will send her a groovy plate, and she rarely uses the groovy plate the way in which it's been designed to do the white embossed lines. And so she uses that as a pattern to do her colouring. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's see what the messages are coming in here. Okay, I think we hopefully maybe sorted shortly. So I think Mr. Jim is on the phone to Linda as well. So we've got that beautiful piece there. And then this one, you've got that gorgeous shadow embossing on the white line art, which we're looking at now, of the Christmas rose, with that colour underneath. I don't think this one, no, this one doesn't do a reveal. So we've got that tatty tulip. I think I'm torn between the tatty tulips and the rose. Do you have a favourite? For those of you that have got them or are just looking at their designs, should have a vote, not a vote. Let's just get an opinion. We've got the rose. Let's just bring in the designs. We've got the rose. We've got the amaryllis. We've got the tatty tulip. We've got the fuchsia. And then the one we're working on at the moment, which is the Christmas rose. If you've got these and you've been having a play, or you're just looking at, which one's your favourite? Because I'm torn between the tatty tulip and the rose. I mean, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? So Linda's bought the fuchsia, and this is another one by Linda Williams. But look at that. See, this is where the frosted floral overlays really come into play, because you're getting sort of, in a way, you're getting 2 for 1. You've got that frosted look, but then you've got the beautiful coloured artwork. Is it? So it's bought the fuchsia, the tatty tulip, torn between the rose and the Christmas rose, fuchsia, the rose. Oh, there isn't a clear leader at the moment. And that, now this one's done. Who's done this one? This one's done by the lovely Josie Davidson. So what Josie's done is she's combined the black line art with the colour behind on the paper. And she's taken, let me bring this thing, it's like a ribbon garter. Ah, here we've got the lovely Linda's back in the room. There we go.
Oh,
what was we saying about the weather?
Oh, I know. It just all went off, and then it went off again. This has been off twice now, and I had to reboot the computer, which I'm not great at anyway. Oh my goodness! Right.
At least you're in one piece. Like, it wasn't anything major. It was just a little power cut.
Oh dear.
Right, let's pass you back over. I was just waffling and showing off some of the beautiful artwork.
Okay. Right, here we go. You got to pray it's not going to happen again.
And relax.
And relax. Right, okay, so we've done that one, and I've done that one. So that's what I was doing. I was on this one. So we've done one side of it. So you can see the difference now. Really starting to come to life now, yes?
Yeah.
So I'm going to do the other side. Move that up a bit.
Oh, I think she may have gone again. Oh dear, oh dear. Maybe today it wasn't meant to be. Oh, but you know what? It is what it is. It's one of those things we can't control. So let's have a look at a little bit more artwork. She'll really be freaking out at the moment, poor Linda. And it's meant to, parchment's meant to be nice and stressless. But there we go. We was looking at this one, wasn't we? We'll see if Linda pops back before the end of the hour. But if not, I will thank you on her behalf. So I'm not really laughing. Okay, so let's have a look at this beautiful piece of. It reminds me of sort of like a very traditional lace. Really, really nice, and it just sits behind because the designs are on parchment when you get them. Let's have a look. Let's bring in. Where's one of the ones? No. Oh, come on, Paul. Oh, I think she might be back again. Is there anybody there? Is there anybody there?
I can hear you, Paul. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yes. Can you move? Can you do some movement? See if we. Yay! There we go. Let's go back.
Okay, let's get on quick.
Quick.
Okay, quick. Right, okay. So remember now I was saying if you wanted, where you want it to be whitest, press a bit harder, and where you want it to be lighter, take the pressure off.
The camera's a little bit fuzzy. I don't know whether it could be the focus or it might just be the internet connection at the moment.
I think it's. Let's have a look. Is that better?
Yes, that's it. It's sharpened up. I think your internet's sort of getting full bandwidth at the moment now.
No, it's just going more fuzzy now, isn't it?
It looks clear now. It looks a lot clearer now. Your hands are not as fuzzy. Yeah, that's great.
Okay. Okie doke. Right, okay, so I was down on this one here. Let's take the pressure off a little bit because we're going underneath there. So you're getting the gist of this now, yeah?
Yes.
Let's do this big one here, and then I'll do a little bit more. I'll give it another coat. So on that little turn over there, I want to leave it at the shadow, just there.
That's it. It's come back into proper focus now. Perfect.
Better, yeah.
Yeah. Things are settling down again. The wind has stopped blowing.
Yeah.
You have to get Rob to boil a couple of kettles and get some hot water going just in case.
Well, Rob isn't here, so I phoned him.
What have you done?
I said, oh, the internet's gone and the computer's not coming back on. He said, well, if you've had a power cut, there's not much I can do. So, yeah.
Have you got a gas cooker, Linda, or are you all electric?
No, we're all electric. We've got gas central heating, but no cooker.
So you can't boil a pan of hot water on the hob then for a cup of tea afterwards then?
No, absolutely not. So now you can see I'm closing up the gaps and I'm adding some nice shading in there. And if you want to, you see that bit there? I've got quite a bit of gap there.
Yeah.
Just come back in with your 6mm and add a bit more shading there if you want to. Take it down a little bit. And maybe take that down a little bit in places. So then when we've done this, I'm going to give it one more, I'm going to concentrate on one flower, and I'm going to give it a little bit more shading with the 3mm, and then I'm going to add the finishing touches. I mean, if you were going to do this, if you're doing this at home, it would probably take me about half an hour to go around it all, you know, you can't...
I think your tip last week about putting a little pencil line at the top and working clockwise so you know where you've started each
Yes,
time.
I've got my little mark there. So, yeah, you know where you've been then. It's not so crucial at this stage. You can usually tell where you've been because you're using smaller tools and it's much more noticeable. So I'm going to go back to this one now, which is the one I did first. And I'm going to add a little bit more. So you need to be thinking now about where you want the whitest bits to be, which would be in the middle. And then you don't have to do it all. Just add a bit more white there. Are we off for time? Oh, we're okay.
Yeah, I think we're about 10-2.
And like I say, you know, if you go to it the next day, if you've let it rest and you go to it the next day, then you'll be looking at it with fresh eyes, and you can see where you maybe need a little bit more of the white shading, a little bit more of the grey. So you need to work out which the bits you're going to leave out now. I might take that a little bit because if I rub this out now, you don't want these to appear floating. You want to make sure they've got some sort of connection. So I'm just going to take that 6mm down a little bit further, just gently, so that I connect all these little bits. And then I'm going to do a bit there. Let's do these 3 then and take them to completion.
Okay.
And, and of course, when you rub your ink lines out with your rubber, if you have got a lot of areas that look like they're floating, all you have to do, and you think, oh, I don't know where to emboss that now, it looks disconnected. Put it back on your black and white paper pattern and draw it in with a white pencil on the front. And then go back to the areas that you think you've missed or that should be a bit more connected, you know?
Oh, that's a good idea. I didn't think of that. Yeah, I suppose because you have got that printed pattern to refer back to.
So you can see now on this, I'm doing a little bit less, just highlighting some of the areas. And then, so when you've done all that you think you want to do, you see that now?
Yes.
Okay, big difference, isn't it, from what we started with this morning? So that's the one that we did with the shaders. I haven't done any more on that, but I've done a lot more on these 3. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you take your 1.5 and your 1mm, I think 1 is enough. And let's just emboss those little dots there.
It's that attention to detail, isn't it? That all of a sudden it will just go ping.
Yeah, that's right. Let's add a little bit of detail. I've been putting some shading on this little heart shape. I'm going to leave a little gap in the middle there. And so let's have a look. So we need to sharpen these tips a little bit.
And that's
You know what? I'm going to
the
rub.
1 mil.
Yeah, I've got the 1.5 and the 1 in my hand now. That's what I'm going to use. I'm actually going to rub out my pencil marks, my ink lines. Let's give those little leaves a little bit of shape from the bottom because I don't want them looking detached. Gently. Okay, and right, I think I'm ready. If I'm not, I'll just right, so we're going to rub these ink marks out with the ink rubber, the Faber-Castell rubber.
Yeah.
So if I show you what they look like first. You can hardly see them now. They're incorporated into the embossing. This is what's so lovely about these fine ink lines. You can actually put them in if you want. Okay, but if you start to rub them out, I'm going to leave the stem. So it takes a little bit of rubbing. To get rid of it all.
Yeah.
But you don't have to get rid of it all. You can leave a faint outline if you want. Now then, when you rub with your ink rubber, it does leave a little bit of a bloom on your paper. Just go over it with an ordinary rubber afterwards. And that'll take the white residue off.
Oh, right.
Now then.
So,
rub out now on a hard surface, okay? Don't be rubbing out on your embossing mat. And it's a good thing to rub it out and then go back in and just give it a final going over with your embossing tool. It's coming off quite easily. It doesn't come off with just one rub though.
yeah. Yeah, because that was going to be my question. How much sort of pressure do you apply, and are you worried about flattening the white work that you've just done?
It does flatten it a little bit, but it's not enough to spoil it. This is why you're probably better off rubbing it out. If you've got enough detail in it, you're probably better off rubbing it out after your 5th or 6th layer and then doing your final layers when you've done it, when you've finished.
Now, I'm guessing that little piece that you showed us that you rushed last week to do it sort of all really, really quickly. Now, I'm guessing that if you use the eraser pencil on that, it would really crack and rip.
Oh, it would ruin it. It would ruin it, yeah. And it would flatten it, and it would be all shapes, you know. It would be raised where you don't want it to be raised. When you're rubbing out as well, keep your parchment taut. I've seen so many people rubbing something out and then they've concertinaed the parchment, and what happened is they've got a fold in it where they don't really want to fold, you know. It's ruined their piece of work. So
I was testing some plates the other week that we would then use for the display boards afterwards. So it's like 2 for 1. We test it, keep it, and then it becomes a display board. And I'd done it, and it was one of your new plates, Linda, that we've got coming up next month.
yeah.
And so I spent a long time sort of just tracing out just to test it. And as I lifted the groovy tab, it ripped, and I thought, oh no, I've got to do it all again. But luckily, it would be where we would trim the parchment down, so you won't see that rip.
Yeah. Well, I'm doing I said I've got your samplers done.
Yeah, no, it was just for me when I was doing the testing.
Okay.
So yeah, just to make sure that, you know, how we always talk about how they sort of line up to complete.
Yeah. Oh yes.
So
I'm going to leave the little lines in the middle, the faint lines. You could use those to your advantage. You know, these little lines where you've got the veins. I think that looks nicer than actually embossing them in, you know. But
that's all come to life all of a sudden, doesn't it?
Once you rub it out, it really is like magic. It really is, and on all your efforts with your embossing, just it pays off, you know. You probably can't see the difference here now when I show you, but there is a big difference when you rub out this. let's go over it with my pink rubber just to get rid of the white bloom in there.
Is that an old technique, the white rubber and then the pink rubber, or is it something that you've
No,
recently...
I just tried it, and I realised that because when you do press quite hard with the white rubber, it does leave like a little white. It looks like you've damaged your parchment, but you haven't. You just need to take that surface layer off. There we are.
Wow, that is beautiful. And I can see that one under that bud. I can see the white line art still in place.
Yeah.
So you can still see that, whereas the bud and the one above and the leaf, it's gone.
Yeah.
Wow.
So let's do a little bit more on that now. And another thing you could do as well, you see, if for instance, with this one, where you've got this petal obviously in front.
Yeah.
Let's give that petal a little bit more of an emboss, and then I'll turn it over and you can have a look. Everybody embosses differently, you know. It's you could see shadow where I don't see shadow, you know. It really all depends. I mean, when you're more used to it, you can actually work out where your shadows are coming from. You know, you can make a little mark on your paper and work out where. So can you see now that has raised above that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if I wanted more white on there, I probably would just do it there. That would catch the light a little bit.
Right, so that's where you're shadowing out now rather than down. Yes.
Okay. So
yeah.
You can see now I've left that. You've got to be very selective about what you put in now at this point. So I'm going to do a little bit of white there, and I'm going to leave that bit there. Makes you think.
Yeah.
Close that gap up a little bit.
And I suppose because the printed parchment's got those suggested directions and the lines on there, hasn't it? So it makes it easier if you're brand new to this.
That's right. Yeah. So you can see that that's quite nice as it is. So
yes.
So like I said, the finishing touches, if you've got so I've got my 1mm and the 1.5mm. So if you've got some nice sharp edges there, let's whiten those a little bit.
And this is gentle, isn't it?
Very gentle with these now, okay?
See, I don't know if I could trust myself.
And then you could come in with a smaller one, and you can actually bring it out and just hook it around. And that way you're connecting then to this petal here. Just
yeah. Gosh.
Works particularly well if you've got something like a petal that's got lots of where can I show you this now?
Where they sort of wrap around one another.
They wrap around, yeah. Probably not on this one. So right, okay, so let's do this. There's another area where we need to sharpen it up a bit, these little sepals. So I go in with a tip. Just a tip. And I'm being really, really gentle here now. You don't want to be going at this really hard. You're going to go through this. And then what you could do with, let's see, everything but. Anyway, with a smaller one, you can actually give the tips a really good, you know, they're quite sharp, these tips. They're very, very fine. And you can sharpen those up a little bit.
Yeah. Really does make a difference, doesn't it? Just that tiny little bit.
Difference, yeah. And with the let's do this leaf. So they're quite pointy on the ends, these, aren't they? They can be quite pointy. So let's sharpen the point of that up a little bit. Let's make it a bit more interesting. So, and I need to close that gap up a little bit. Let's close that gap a little bit. When you're doing this, the final part, you need to know when to stop.
You sound just like Barb. You need to know when to stop.
Yeah, there have been times where I think, oh, I should have stopped it there. So let's sharpen that tip up a little bit. You can see now. Sorry.
No, go on.
You can see I'm going from one tool to the other now. I've got the two smallest ones in my hand.
Just to alternate to get the different
in with the largest, the 1.5, to soften it so that you get a gradual transition from this very bright white. I need to show you that and see what it looks like.
Yeah. It really does, just that tiny. I mean, I'm automatically drawn to that little bud and the whiteness of those little the bits around the base of it.
This one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really, perhaps I could have done a bit less on there. If I'm being quite critical of myself, that I shouldn't have done so much there, so that's a bit paler.
Right. But I think it just comes with experience, doesn't it? And I mean, it doesn't look wrong. And I think, as you say, you're overcritical of yourself anyway because of being the perfectionist. And I think we're all our own worst critics, aren't we? We do it and we think, oh, it's not good enough. But actually, when you step away and you sort of step away from it, it's often when we're doing a retreat or we're teaching, and you're concentrating sort of like real in close and you're doing it and you think, oh, I've ruined this. But when you hold it away from yourself or you give it to the person sitting opposite you, you're really surprised at how beautiful it is.
That's right. And this is what I'm saying, you see, if you leave it overnight and then go back to it, it makes a big difference, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, if you look at this one here now, the ink lines are very pale. So if you take a fine tool, and then I can't find my 0.5, you'll have to do with I don't know where that's gone, must have fallen on the floor, in the palm neck. So you can actually emboss it from the front. Okay?
Right.
Or you can actually take your one needle tool, but you've got to drag it to do this, okay? And that then makes it go inwards rather than...
Oh, I see. So it's pushing the edges of the shadow inward. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh. Would you believe, Linda, it's almost 10 past the hour.
Oh, no.
God, it's all that dodgy.
I'd look at the fuchsia, but we haven't got time now, have we?
Yeah, maybe we can have a look at that next week.
Next week, yes. Okay. If I start the fuchsia off next week, and then we do a little bit of colouring. We won't get a lot of colouring done, but so we might try and do a little bit. It all depends what coloured pencils you have. But I did show this before, didn't I?
That's right, yeah. The different colour combinations.
There's lots of different colour combinations. So it all depends
of what colour you want to go with.
You want to use. I've got a list of the pencils I used. So do you want me to, shall I make a list and can we publish it somewhere, or shall I?
Yeah, we can. I mean, we can put it on, if you want to pop it on Facebook.
All right,
and what we can do on the Clarity Stamp website, there's that section for the Pergamano School. I'm sure I can get Stuart to upload the information onto there as well. So,
okay. I'll send it to you later. I'll print it later.
Okay. Yeah,
I mean,
that'd be great.
it's not written in stone, but it's just some of the pencils that I think
That
might
you'll
be
be
useful.
using. Yeah, no, I think that's a brilliant idea.
Okay.
Okay. Well, at least you can go and sort of de-stress a little bit now that your power's back.
What a time to have a power cut, isn't it?
Oh dear.
You're
So if it's gonna,
power cuts.
if it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, isn't it? So
Yeah.
as usual, Linda, I've just picked up so many different bits and pieces, and hopefully I'll try and translate that on the Pergamano show on Thursday at 11 and 3. So thank you again. Thank you everyone at home for joining us. Hope you've enjoyed that, despite our little technical hitch. But don't forget, you can go back and you can fast forward through that part where the power went down and then just catch back up as if it never happened. So I'll see you on Thursday. You've got the Shack on Thursday at 10 o'clock with Barb, 11 o'clock and 3 o'clock on the craft store, and then on Saturday at 11 o'clock and 3 o'clock on the craft store as well. So until then, if you can't join us then we'll look forward to seeing you next Tuesday for another episode of Groovy Tuesday / Pergamano School.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Linda. Take care. Speak to you later. Bye. Bye.